Washington's not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to share the big lie? MAGA media. I wish in my soul, I wish that any of these people had a conscience.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose? If that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, Monday, 10 February, year of our Lord 2025. We had a different show schedule. We're going to get to that in a moment. We got breaking news from the White House. We go to Real America's Voice, White House correspondent Brian Glenn. Brian, huge day for Days of Thunder continue. Executive orders about to start rolling out. What do you got for us?
Yeah. Good afternoon, Steve. We're just outside the briefing room. Austin, if you just want to turn, we'll show our viewers that maybe have not got a chance to see this. This is the briefing room. Those are the doors that goes inside. That's where you see Carolyn Leavitt. Yes, we see President Trump often hold their daily press briefings. But we're going to go into a different room here at the bottom of the hour as President Trump is scheduled to sign a few executive orders into place, one being tariffs. Now, Steve, you and I both know on the campaign trail, tariffs was a hot topic. It's one of his favorite T words, and he's going to hit that today, an executive order, 25%, kind of a blanket tariff on aluminum and steel coming into this country. And then the other one, Steve, well, not so controversial topic, but whether or not you like paper or plastic straws, well, President Trump is going to say no more paper straws bought within the federal government, and they are one of the biggest consumers, or as far as buyers, of these paper straws, Steve.
Brian, I don't know if you can see this. You probably can see the camera. The whole top of the Financial Times of London today, U.S. and China set for trade war as Beijing launches retaliatory tariffs. This is about the situation with China. Today, these tariffs are specifically, these are the first targeted tariffs he's done, 25%. On steel and aluminum imports, particularly they got Canada, Mexico, China. People are going to be hit for this. CNBC, that's no fan of tariffs, have said this is good for America and it's good for American workers. Your thoughts, sir?
It is. I was just reading an article that we lost about 5,000 steel workers in this country just over the last couple years. And so hopefully with this change, Steve, it can bring manufacturing back to this country and more jobs. You know, on the campaign trail, we were in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, a lot of steel country, a lot of manufacturing going on. That's what they wanted. So President Trump just views these executive orders as help protecting American jobs and bringing some of this stuff back to here. He also calls it a national security threat to allow a lot of these countries to dominate and have our dependency on steel and aluminum. But this is certainly, it's been a conveyor belt of executive orders over the last, 14, 15 days. And it seems like every day, Steve, it's just something else happening in this White House behind me.
Let's talk about that for a second. Today, an onslaught of particularly at the federal level. It's pretty obvious, Brian, that the Democratic Party really doesn't have the muscle memory to really combat President Trump. The media is a little bit shattered, the mainstream media. I'm sure you see that every day in the skulking around in the White House. What they've done, they've gone to the courts. They haven't yet really gone to the state courts. Letitia James looms large over all of this. White House's hack, federal judge, I think it's O'Connell up in Rhode Island, told President Trump he had to he could not hold the money back for these different operations. What are you hearing so far of the White House people about how serious are they taking this onslaught of the federal judiciary against the deconstruction of the administrative state, whether it's done by the Doge team, Elon Musk, or whether he's got Scott Bessent or Russell Vought or Stephen Miller doing it, sir?
I think we have all three of those individuals you just mentioned. I know J.D. Vance, Vice President Vance, spoke on this earlier today about this and kind of weighed in and says, look, we shouldn't have some of these corrupt judges, trying to run the White House behind me in that executive branch. It doesn't work that way. I think you're going to see, of course, DOGE, kicks off the first subcommittee hearing, I should say, kicks off on Wednesday, and that's going to target Medicaid. But hey, they need to look into some of these other things as well, and see if we can't get caught up in this nonsense like we did, all these legal battles as President Trump was battling the last 4 years on the campaign trail. This looks like the Democrats only have one page in their playbook, and that is just tie him up in court and not allow him to do the things that he's doing. But we'll see how it plays out.
It's going to be the courts, folks. Brian, you're going to come back to us when we're going to be able to see the signing of these. Particularly, we don't want to miss the historic tariffs on steel and aluminum. And guess what? It's pretty historic for some people to go back to the plastic straw. So we want to see that one too. You'll alert us, and we'll catch up with you a little later.
Sounds great. Appreciate it.
Brian, we probably got as many guys watching for the straws as the tariffs. We got half a tariff crowd and half a straw crowd. Thank you, brother. Brian Glenn at the White House today, all over. So Matt Schlapp joins us. Matt, put in perspective what's going on. We got like a multi-front attack going on the administrative and deep state. From you got DOGE, you got the sledgehammer of DOGE hitting you on audits and talking about cuts. You've got Russ Vought is shutting down the Consumer Bureau. They already shut down USDA. They said now they're ordering guys back to the office. They don't show up, you're going to fire. Every vertical you've either got Miller, Bessent, Vought, Elon, the DOGE team. Put it in perspective for people, this war against the administrative state and the deep state.
Yeah, so the Democrats don't follow any rules. They use their executive power writ broadly, and they change the world, they change the government, they change everything. Republicans come in and we color inside the lines, and we're very, careful listening to the lawyers. And it's asymmetrical. They expand government greatly. They use their power. They punish their enemies. And we do very little of that. So for people like me that have served in administrations in the past that know the old rules, it's always a little jarring to see the way Trump operates and the way people around Trump is operating. In the beginning, sometimes I even flinch, like, I don't think you can do that. And then over the course of days or weeks, you realize that he's doing what Democrats do. He's saying, I'm the president of the United States, I'm going to throw the ball deep, and I'm going to make you stop me. And you're right, it's all going to go to the courts at the end of the day. A lot of this is going to go to the Supreme Court. Can the president decide to impound money that's been appropriated by Congress? I mean, you got to love these Republicans on the Hill. They're all so worried about, well, first of all, they're applauding DOGE and what Elon Musk is doing with all this waste, fraud, and abuse. But where were they the last couple of decades overlooking all this spending? I mean, they're the ones signing all these budget bills, and they haven't done their job of scrutinizing all the spending. So God bless Donald Trump. He's the one exposing it now.
Let's talk about that. You've got, for years when we ran the deal, you had Paul Ryan, and you always had the Andy Biggses and the Rand Pauls. You always had people like that. Thomas Massey, right? Mark Meadows back in the old days. Dave Bratt. People that were always in the House Freedom Caucus and others. Steve King's. People that were hardcore limited government conservatives that were always voting against these bills. And we used to sit up and watch all night on War Room, these appropriations subcommittee votes where they were trying to get into USAID, and they were outing much of the stuff we see today. They couldn't even win in committee. More than 50% voted of the Republicans when the Republicans in charge. Why did that take place? I mean, here you're saying it's a fresh day, but this stuff's been going on for decades. The public should have known this years ago, sir.
There's two pieces. Well, there's actually three pieces. There's the investigations that are supposed to happen in judiciary and oversight. But you're supposed to authorize government, Steve. You don't just give it money once a year. You authorize it. It used to be for 5 years at a time. And that allowed you to really kind of do the overhaul of the engine, get rid of the stuff that's not working. As Mercy and I were talking the other day, I mean, government just grows, and all these bureaucrats just expect more money, and nobody's asking the kinds of questions about why is the government doing this or that. And it's become an absurd process where you have these emergencies like COVID or natural disasters, and they up the spending, and it never goes back down again after the emergency. It's never kind of like, it just becomes expected. And the Republicans have laid over, most of them, not the guys you mentioned, on this idea that they ought to authorize every part of government. And if it isn't authorized, it's a rogue outfit. And that's what Trump is saying, which is, wait a minute, what kind of legal standing does an agency have if they haven't been authorized for 20 years? Yes, they're getting these annual appropriations, but that's not enough. That's not at all what the constitutional framework imagined. And so, if the court actually, looks at the law, I think Trump and Russ Vought and Elon Musk, they have a fair case to make that they can deconstruct what Congress never seemed to have the gumption to authorize.
Matt, this is such a brilliant point. So, folks, you got the appropriations process, and that's what we talk about March 14th. You got this process. It's statutory. It's got to be done. This is the way the system works. And if you're going to break that part of the system, you actually got to change the law. The authorization is something they never want to talk about.
Never talk.
These departments, when they're like education, but they have an ongoing, like every 5 years for justice, every 5 years for FBI, or 10 years for FBI. They've skipped them for 10, 20, 30, 40 years,
That's
and
right.
Trump's calling them out. They're really not going to have much of a legal basis to stand on, are they?
Remember, they got the budget bill they pass a couple times a year, and they got one stupid big glob that they get done. And they pass a defense bill once a year, usually. But the rest of government just is kind of going status quo with COLAs and raises every year. No one's looking under the hood. And remember, the appropriations process is supposed to be for discretionary, not all the stuff that's on autopilot, that's, what they call the entitlements and such. I mean, we're not looking at any of that at all. That's becoming the biggest part of the budget, the overwhelmingly biggest part of the budget. And so my favorite thing about what DOGE is doing, and I was dubious because I was like, what the hell is this thing? It's kind of made up out of whole cloth. But look what it's doing, if nothing else, with transparency. And it's shaming everyone who have been voting for all of this ridiculous spending. And I think the Democrats are on their heels with DOGE, which is why they're going so hard after Musk. What's so wrong about you knowing what your government's doing? And when they're doing absurd things, it's amazing how next thing you know, no one's standing up to support it. And I think this is going to be a big part of the next year with Donald Trump. He is mocking the whole governmental system, which is completely broken. And I think he's making the Republicans realize they started off being dubious in some of his cabinet picks. And Steve, you told me in a text, like immediately, Trump gets every one of his cabinet picks because he took a bullet for us and got off that canvas and stood up and fought. And you had the right approach. And some Republicans were going to do their little dancing thing. And I think they're all coming around. I think all these people will get confirmed. And I think Trump is actually getting stronger as time goes on, not because he's picking the right fights. I think because he's picking every fight. And that's exactly what we want. We've been on our back feet forever. Pennies. We're talking about pennies. Matt, it's everything.
I'm going to hold you through the break real quickly. The federal judge, Whitehurst's hack federal judge up in Rhode Island, said that President Trump had to keep funding these things. Should he comply with that order or say, let's throw down now, let's just throw down for it? Should he comply and just fight it appellate at the Supreme Court? Or should he have his guys, and they're going to get contempt charges, should he fight it, sir?
Well, I think he's got to fight all of this. And I think, I'm going to listen to Pam Bondi in this situation. I mean, you do want to choose your battles when it comes to the legal front. But to me, as long as there's an appeal process going on, then the constitutional fight should be able to continue until we get resolution in the courts.
Matt Schlapp saying President Trump's being very selective, taking on all fights. Take them all on, baby.
Fight.
Let's hit it. Days of Thunder. Okay. CPAC is launching next week, really at the beginning of Days of Thunder. We're going to have Matt give us some details. Short commercial break. Birch Gold. What did gold get to? Another all-time high today or close to it? Almost 3,000. Looking at my guy's looking at his account right now. Okay, you can wake up anytime. Gold prices, there you go. No, don't worry about it. Birch Gold. Go talk to Philip Patrick and the team. Ask them the price of gold, and more importantly, ask them why you need it as a hedge, a store of value for your financial life. Short break.
In a crisis, your number one need is food. But here's the good news. 4 Patriots is offering a special buy one, get 2 free deal on its best-selling 72-hour survival food kits. Hurry, go to 4patriots.com now.
Anybody who owns property should worry about home title theft. There's no other crime that is so easy, so quick, and so lucrative.
Your home, your equity, and your peace of mind can all be stolen in one fell swoop by home title thieves like Matthew Cox.
Nobody thinks that I can take their house. Nobody thinks that.
Believe it or not, a single-page document is all it takes to transfer proof of ownership out of your name.
People think there's a whole huge process, but the truth is, it's a one-page document.
But it still must get through one final barrier, the county clerk.
When someone comes in with a fraudulent deed, if it's notarized and all the spaces are filled in, we by statute have to accept it. We cannot give it back to them and say, we know this is fraudulent, we're not going to file it. That's against the law.
It's public records. It's a recording system. They don't make a phone call, they record it, that's all they do.
Bottom line is, yes, it happens, and we can't stop it from happening, and it only takes once for it to sting you, and it's a very sad thing to watch.
You've put your love into the house, and all of a sudden, it might not be yours. It's a devastating crime.
For pennies a day, Home Title Lock will monitor your title nonstop, alerting you to suspicious activity.
If you can get a warning notice that this first step has happened, you can stop the rest.
This person from somewhere in New York stole our property. So I was surprised. I talked to my father about it. He advised me that he had taken out Home Title Lock about 8 months earlier. We logged into Home Title Lock. He had 5 alerts. Immediately we contacted them, and within about 2 weeks, the deed was put back in my parents' name.
If you give us a call right now and mention promotional code LOCKIT, we'll give you your first 30 days of protection absolutely free.
Home Title Lock lived up to every promise they made.
Go online or call now, 1-800-493-1175, and sign up today.
Here at Allegiance, we feel like American flags should be made in America.
When we started Allegiance, we were shocked to learn how many American flags were actually being made overseas.
Every flag we make is proudly crafted in the USA with superior materials.
Join us in our mission to keep the American flag truly American.
Visit showallegiance.com to order your high-quality American flag today. That's showallegiance.com.
Kevin paid off over $12,000 in credit card debt with the help of Consolidated Credit. They cut his interest rates and lowered his payments so he could pay off his debt fast. Call 800-596-8062 for a free consultation.
One of the things Trump first did when he came into office that I think, underscores this problem with media coverage is he pardoned the January 6 rioters, including the ones who beat cops violently. And this is something that people in his own administration said he would never do because they didn't think he would possibly do that. It's also something that I think in the first Trump term would have had serious consequences for his administration. There would have been a big media backlash. I can imagine Republicans on the Hill coming out to condemn it. His approval ratings would have plummeted. Now, there doesn't seem to be any consequences. And that might be due to the fact that this has just been such a crazy couple of weeks that it's hard for everyone to keep up. Do you see there being any political consequences for Trump in America anymore in the second term?
It's a good question. Part of it's the flood the zone thing you mentioned, right? He's coming at us with so many things all at once. It's hard for anybody, whether it be, political opposition or the media or the political environment, to focus on any single decision that he's made and say, well, wait a second, let's think about that. Let's scrutinize that. Let's decide whether or not we think there's merit to it or it's a problem. Because by the time he finished pardoning the January 6 guys, he was already off to the races in, withholding up to $3 trillion worth of federal grants. And he was dismantling the entire foreign aid structure of the United States government. And he was, talking about literally taking over other countries. So where do you say, okay, well, I'm not going to cover him trying to take over the Panama Canal because I want to focus more on the January 6 pardons. Okay, that's, a choice. But the truth is, it's also kind of important that he's saber rattling with our ally in Central America. And the other thing that's different, of course, is I think the political environment in Washington is different. There's no John McCain anymore. There's not even a Mitt Romney anymore. There is no Republican opposition to him anymore, which there was at the beginning of his first term. At the beginning of his first term, you had Bob Corker, Jeff Flake, even Mitch McConnell from time to time said, whoa, wait a second, buddy, you're going too far. None of them are doing that anymore. Actually, Mitch McConnell is a little bit more oppositional now that he's no longer the leader. But there's really very little Republican opposition. And without Republican opposition, since they control the Congress, he gets a pretty free ride, and people dismiss the Democrats who don't have any power anyway. So the real tension is going to be in the courts. We'll see what they do with some of these decisions he's trying to make. But you're right. Everything does feel like it's ephemeral. Even the most controversial, most outrageous, arguably, things he decides to do pass within 24 hours because there's something else happening.
Matt Schlapp, that's Peter Baker. He's considered, by the left, the kind of even-handed wise man of Washington as the lead White House correspondent, and married to Susan Glasser at the New Yorker. I think she is now, formerly Politico, kind of the royal couple of media.
I think Trump broke her. I think they've lost their minds. But here's the thing. I'm going to get a little bit pissed off here. He got a free ride? Who the hell thinks Donald Trump got a free ride? They tried to shoot him. They tried to take all of his money. They tried to put him in prison. And little Peter Baker is sitting up there talking about how the man gets a free ride. I mean, can you just even imagine anybody listening to this dweeb and saying, wow, that's so smart analysis, Peter.
300 years in prison, just from the Jack Smith referral to 300 years in prison, I think, from the J6, right? Everything. Wanted him to die in a federal prison. Matt, you're going to be at the beginning days of the Days of Thunder. Everybody we know in the War and Posse, the Schlapps have given an incredible deal. If you go to cpac.org/war room, $76. You can't do better. We're going to do that. We're going to do if you show a ticket, you get to come to the Force Multiplier. We're going to do the day before. We're throwing a bunch of parties all over the place to celebrate everybody's coming. Matt, talk to our folks about it and why it's so important kind of when we're getting the muzzle philosophy to take on the left and the administrative and deep state, why it's so important to attend now more than ever.
Well, first of all, I want to tell you, it's 4 days, so it's a crash course in what's going on in your country. And I think the posse has been a great addition. It's been a fantastic addition. Mercy and I are going to thank you for inviting us to speak at your Force Multiplier event, which has now become part of the tradition. We're going to have our international summit on Wednesday as well, where we have countries from all over the world, ambassadors, foreign ministers, political activists sitting around a table and really shaming the globalists on all the ways in which they're radicalizing and ruining the globe. And, this international piece is a big part of CPAC, strangely enough, even though it's all about America, because everybody's rooting for America around the globe, because without America, they're toast, and they know they're toast. And I'm proud of the people that we're going to have there. We're going to have all the cabinet secretaries who have been confirmed. We're going to have the White House senior staff. We're going to have, Ted Cruz doing his podcast with Ben Ferguson, talking to one of those cabinet secretaries. We have the largest owner of Bitcoin in the world is going to be there. And I know some people love Bitcoin and other people think this is a problem, but we air all grievances at CPAC too, by the way. All grievances are allowed. Let's talk about it and get it on the stage. I really want the Elon Musk, Steve Bannon debate, but I haven't been able to pull that together yet. But I think that could be one for the ages, Steve. What do you think?
I'm all in 1,000%. You pull it off, I'm good. Let's roll. Let's roll.
But your point.
There's nothing to debate. I think Elon would admit he's wrong and I'm right, but that's okay. On everything with visas, I tip my hat to him on Doge. I think it's an armor piercing shell. What it's doing is great. You got to make sure the data's cool. But I'm the one saying, Elon, you got to get across the river. If we're to have any cuts, Matt, you've struggled for this for 15 years. If we're to have any cuts, it's going to have to be someone like Elon that goes to the Pentagon and says, these are the programs we can take out. And once you get the Pentagon sorted, you can get the social programs. So, no, I think it'd be amazing, or if not, to get a Doge update from some of his guys, I think it would be incredible. That'd be a global media event. They would melt down if Doge took the stage, brother.
Well, hopefully that'll happen, and I agree with you completely. And I just think for people that have been reading white papers for decades, I would say, let them collect a little bit of dust. Understand that we are in a cultural war. You have different ways of saying it, Steve, but we have to rethink all of our tactics. I'm not saying we need to break our moral truths, but we have to rethink our tactics. I mean, our tactics have stunk for a long time. And what Donald Trump is doing is he's got some clubs in that golf bag that we haven't really seen before, or not in a long time. Yeah. And it's exactly what we need.
Like a jackhammer. I want to make sure, I just want to reiterate this. And this is just the reality of Washington, current Washington. There's so many people that have been on the show, contributed to the show, people that have either gone in the White House and or have been designated for confirmed jobs that can't really, they're not at liberty to come and speak at this time, right? I know probably a half a dozen who would normally be at CPAC, who speak at, one of the reasons they're cabinet nominated or in the White House is because they've been at CPAC and people know their views. But there are quite a significant amount of people, either at the cabinet level right below or some people we know in the White House, just for various restrictions. You just can't come and you can't be on main stage of CPAC anymore, correct?
Well, if you're not confirmed yet, or if you haven't got your sea legs in your new job, then, and which is kind of good for us, Steve, because, like I said, 3.5 days, but believe it or not, schedule's full. It is a tough thing to schedule, especially when you have these people coming over from really important countries that we're allied with. The foreigners all expect to give that 30-minute speech, Steve. It's really interesting to tell a prime minister, you got 9 minutes, sir. It doesn't go over well, but we win that argument every time.
Now, I know you can't announce until you announce, but I take it the president's been very supportive. In fact, the comeback trail for the president from Mar-a-Lago, the first in the historic speech was in Orlando with CPAC.
That's right.
Right? That's when I think it was 30 or 45 days. That was historic. I take
almost
it
47
the president's
days
never missed a CPAC when you're there, so we're going to get the president?
Yeah, almost 47 days from J6. He's standing on our stage in Orlando as, unfortunately, a former president. And, yes, I'm not allowed to announce that the president's coming, but I'm very optimistic, Steve, that he usually closes us out, because it's really hard to schedule around Donald Trump because you don't really know how long is long this year and how much of a stand-up comedy routine he's going to give you. I had a lot of people who went to the inauguration who said, dang, it was cold out there, and I had to walk blocks and blocks and blocks. And I told them, it's okay if the inauguration didn't work out great for you. Come to CPAC. It's an indoor inauguration. It has heat. You'll have a seat. There's an open bar and a buffet. So, you just can't beat it.
No, his best when he's doing some that's formal and he's going off the glass, and I say it's like Mort Saul, the guy that would take today's headlines and take a comedic turnaround, but have a powerful subterranean message that you got. No, I know people, even with the Secret Service, everything has to happen. These are monumental speeches when he gives them. So hopefully, and of course, the press of world events, you never know. It's always a call at the last minutes. But Matt, we got about a minute. Where do people go? I want everybody to pile in this $76 for the War Room Posse. We're broadcasting live there every day. Although Matt Schlapp and Mercy have given a stink eye, we got to tone it down. Or we may have to have a rave in a different location close to so. I guess we'll have a rave. And
I think toning it down is always a bad mistake for the War Room Posse. I think you gotta turn it up. We just gotta put you in a place where the room can rock. Okay, Steve, that's what we want.
Yeah, we don't. This is the last year at the National Harbor. Thank God.
Thank
Matt,
God.
fantastic. CPAC.org/War Room. You go, $76. I want to thank Mercy and Matt for making that available. Matt, what is your personal Twitter account? Because when you're
at @mschlapp, and you can follow me, and you'll get all the announcements of all the speakers and all the topics we'll be covering. Believe me, it's 3.5 days, and we'll still miss things. It's just the way it is.
Maybe we'll cover those at the War. By the way, I hear that Megyn Kelly may do her podcast, and I think I was shown a podcast studio and space that's right next to the War Room where Senator Cruz and Megyn and everybody. So it's going to be a great setup. We appreciate it. Matt, thank you so much for taking the time today.
All right,
appreciate
Steve. Thank you, man. God bless.
CPAC, it's next week. Force Multiplier Academy, and you get a free lunch. People last year raved about it. The lunch, too. Short break. Back in a moment.
America has the greatest economy in the world, but I think most of us would agree we have a problem. The cost of almost everything is up. Home prices, rent, food, insurance. Every sector has taken a hit, including automotive. More Americans are keeping their cars for longer, including me. And one way that we can make life more affordable is CarShield, America's #1 auto protection company.
CarShield's rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau and named America's most trusted auto protection company.
With CarShield, drivers could save thousands on covered parts and systems like your engine, transmission, entertainment system, and more. It's the protection that I trust, just like these other happy customers.
With CarShield, saving the $2,700 has been a real blessing. I love CarShield. It is my lifeline.
Our life as nurses, we just step up and we help people, and it's really nice when somebody steps up and helped us. If our car breaks down, CarShield administrators have our back.
If your car's out of warranty, it's not a matter of if it'll break down, but when. Call CarShield before it's too late and protect yourself from expensive car repairs.
CarShield is ready to help year-round nationwide with thousands of vetted shops to choose from, or their concierge service to help you find a mechanic near you. Unlike other companies, they don't just send you to the cheapest place in town. I trust CarShield, and so should you.
I have filed a total of over 5 claims, and my price from when I signed up never went up. And with the age of my car, that is security.
CarShield is a U.S. company supporting hardworking Americans save over $1 billion in expensive auto repair costs. More of us are keeping our cars for longer, so give CarShield a call now before a breakdown happens. Call now.
Call CarShield now before a breakdown and see how they're saving drivers money on covered auto repairs. Call 800-635-5126. 800-635-5126.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
When a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name, it's a race against time to stop the theft of your hard-earned equity.
Many people don't know this has happened until long after it's done.
You as the homeowner think you still own a house. 3 months later, you start getting foreclosure notices and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
So when's the last time you checked on the title to your home? Find out if you're already a victim at HomeTitleLock.com.
Why do you want to be chairman of the Kennedy Center Board?
Because I want to make sure it runs properly. We don't need woke at the Kennedy Center. We don't need, some of the shows were terrible. They're a disgrace that they were even put on. So I'll be there until such time as it gets to be running right.
Have you seen any shows there? How do you know they're terrible?
I didn't go. No, I got reports they were so bad I didn't want to go. There was nothing I wanted to see. Thank you very much, everybody.
Folks, that's President Trump. And that has been a bombshell. He got rid of the board over at the Kennedy Center, which is high church in the secular, demonic, administrative, and deep state that controls the imperial capital. President Trump is removed the chairman of the board. He's going to step in and be the chairman of the board. He's removed board members. He's going to take active charge, which is so brilliant. You have to take charge of high culture. And that's what the Kennedy Center is. I made a recommendation just in a brief couple of seconds this morning. I think it was Poso was on. I said you have to the J6 Choir. We should have a special evening of the J6 Choir. Invite all the J6 families. They should come. I think that's gone viral as these people have melted down. So I've asked Brother Keeperman to join us from Passage Press, one of our leading public intellectuals, and put on an incredible dinner and really bringing some of the thought leaders in MAGA and others, the broader MAGA coalition, together during the inauguration. Sir, so you keep your hand on both pop culture and high culture. What are your thoughts about Trump stepping in and brooming the board and getting rid of Rubenstein over at the Kennedy Center?
Well, it's a beautiful thing. And, I'm just so excited to see finally in my adult lifetime, Republican, conservative, right wing, call it whatever you want, administration and political coalition taking culture seriously. And, this is something Andrew Breitbart, of course, talked about at length, that politics is downstream from culture. And what he meant by that was the kinds of ideas and the values that permeate the landscape of our country and that occupy people's imaginations are what ultimately manifest into policy. And forever, the left has owned all of these vehicles that control what that ideological landscape is in people's heads. And so leftism just becomes the sort of water we're swimming in. And that's how these ideas, despite being broadly unpopular, become normalized over time. And, suddenly one day you wake up and DEI is the de facto law of the land. Your kids come home from school, and they're questioning what gender they are, and what previously seemed like radical fringe ideologies, are just a part of this ordinary landscape of ideas. So it's absolutely critical that the right start taking culture seriously. And there is no better place to do that than, like you said, at the high church, the Kennedy Center, which in all ways is symbolic of America's high culture.
When you say that, what do you mean that? Because President Trump's been quite upset. He thinks of culture. He thinks the classic operas, the symphonies, the great plays, the Western canon. And obviously, you have things from throughout the world because you want to get a sampling or understand the greatness of these other societies and culture too. But President Trump's upset because that's not what you're seeing. They're not bringing their best. What is the problem over the Kennedy Center?
Well, okay, so this starts, the person I look to is Les Rubenstein and this woman named Deborah Rutter. Deborah Rutter became the president of the Kennedy Center in 2014. In 2019, she initiates a quote unquote social impact as the central area of programming for the Kennedy Center. This is just a giant DEI scheme. So I'm just going to read to you from a little bit from the website. This is the language they use. The mission of the program is to, quote, use the arts as a tool for social impact, equity, and inclusion. The series explores how art can be a catalyst for public healing, decolonization, and global change, highlighting the intersection of art and activism. They partnered with Black Lives Matter, or an affiliate organization called Black Culture Matters. They have a program called the Latinx History Project. Again, this is just fringe, radical, left-wing, woke / DEI ideology being manifest through the arts and then force-fed to the American public, even though they don't want it. And it was frankly rejected at the ballot box. And I will say that it's not only a good thing that Trump has his target set on the Kennedy Center. I would say it's his obligation. The American people voted for Donald Trump and the Trump administration, and more broadly, MAGAism, to root out this ideology from our public space. And doing this at the Kennedy Center, I don't want to overinflate the importance of the Kennedy Center, but doing this at the Kennedy Center is a symbolic gesture that the time of woke, the time of this fringe radical leftist ideology is over.
No, these centers, by the way, the Lincoln Center in New York, the one in the one in L.A., these centers are the railheads of how the elites control high culture, and controlling high culture and twisting it. They control the high ground. You have to take it. You have other. By the way, the failure also, Brother Keeperman, is not just at the. It's failed at the box office also. If you took the taxpayer subsidies away from this, there's any philanthropy. There's no real there to support this. This crap all goes away because even in the theater crowd, there's not any real will to write a check here. Is there, sir?
I like American culture. I love American culture, in fact. And the truth is, we don't need to come in and kind of like impose our own extremist sort of right-wing view of what culture is. No, all you need to do is remove the artificial incentives from these programs, from places like Hollywood, and you probably know this better than anyone, and an organic right-wing culture. And I think when I say right-wing, I just mean sensible, a culture that celebrates American history and our legacy and the heroes of our past, and encourage a positive vision for the future. All of this stuff will just happen on its own. We don't need to put a heavy hand on the culture. All we need to do is remove these malign elements, root out the radical ideology that is infecting and degrading what should be and ought to be great monuments to ourselves, to America, and to the great people who have come before us and created this wonderful culture.
You've got other ideas also about some of the other agencies, operations, also the ones that are near culture or education. Tell me what your thoughts are more broadly.
All right. So, there's all sorts of room to run here. And once you start digging into how pervasive these programs are and where money is spent, you start to see opportunities for us, again, to remove the malign influence of the left and allow a healthier, more natural, organic culture to unfold. One obvious example of this is the 250th anniversary celebration that's coming up next year. This is something that I hope the Trump administration pays close attention to and is willing to put a lot of money into. This celebration of what America is will allow us to define our own narrative. This will allow us to reassert the symbols and people and our vision for the future that we want the American people to understand and we want the rest of the world to see. We need to put money into this. We need to start thinking long and hard about what kinds of exhibits and where we do stuff. I'm thinking, we could do 250 statues to great American heroes across the United States. We could reopen the NEH Library for America grant and reconstitute our own American canon, the great books, the great novels, the great history of our past. So I want us to pay close attention to these narratives. They matter. The culture matters. And what we do with the culture will shape what happens with politics in the future.
Where do people go to get more about this? Because this is one we're at the top of the first inning. You're going to be one of the leaders in this because you're one of the leading public intellectuals in the MAGA movement. Where can people go find out more about Passage Press, your writings?
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
And quite frankly, the people that the writings you're promoting, which I think is great.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. So I would encourage everybody to go to our website, passage.press. We're a publisher. It's a full bookstore. And we're doing with our publishing house precisely what I'm just talking about. It's both new ideas to break us out of this cul-de-sac that we're in, but also reasserting the great stuff of our past. And, so we have H.P. Lovecraft. We have the original Hardy Boys for the first time. We have books for young boys to enjoy. So please go to our website, purchase those books. You can follow me on Twitter, follow Passage Press on Twitter, on my Substack. So just, search Lomez, search John Keeperman. You'll find what you need to find.
John, one last thing before you go. Your dinner was pretty extraordinary. What was the feedback? Because you had a very eclectic crowd. You had the crypto guys there. You had the day traders. You had some hardcore right-wing populist nationalists. It was quite a mixture. How did that turn out? What's the feedback you got?
It turned out great. And Steve, I want to thank you for showing up and giving just a fiery keynote speech. Everybody was fired up. Everybody loved having you there. And, the reason why I wanted you there is because for everything that's going on, I really do think you are the heart of the MAGA movement. You are the godfather of the MAGA movement, the champion of the people. And we have a bunch of new coalition partners coming in this time around. It's no secret that, the Trump 2.0 also consists of this tech crowd, crypto people who may have been on the fence previously about Donald Trump, people who might have been, Ron DeSantis supporters. There's a lot of room here for new people to come in, and it's okay for it to be a big tent. But, and this is what I wanted to do with the event, was set the anchor down, that this is still a movement about the American people and the interests of the Americans who for decades have been left behind. And I wanted these guys, these new coalition partners, to hear that from you. So I think it was really successful. I think it's an opportunity to generate conversations going forward and for us to find common ground, because we still have an active enemy. The left is still there. They are on retreat for sure, but they are still there, and they're waiting for their opportunity to pounce, and we can't get complacent, and we need all the help we can get to defeat them.
One more time, where do they get you on social media?
It's at Lomez on XL0M3Z.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Great dinner, great publishing firm, and great ideas. You're definitely going to get in the mix on this Kennedy Center thing, no doubt.
Great.
And thank you for the kind words. President Trump, though, is the Mac daddy of the MAGA movement, and he proved it. Folks, Donald Trump is crushing the spirit of the administrative and deep state. It's just not the media. This Kennedy thing is kind of their toy. I'm not so sure President Trump went more than a couple of times in his entire first term. People in the Trump administration were made to feel quite uncomfortable going over it. That was their church. That was their clubhouse. And they ran it the way they want to run it. And you just heard from Jonathan about how woke they turned it. Really to the detriment of the country. It is the country's. It's paid for by taxpayer. If you cut taxpayer subsidies out from a lot of this radical fringe stuff on the left, the arts, it just goes away. Because even people on the left will not support it, will not financially support it through philanthropy, and they certainly won't support it through the box office. Kind of the debacle that the Academy Awards have turned into since they've gone to 10 Best Pictures. I mean, it's a disgrace. You cut on Turner Classic Movies. You look at the films in previous years in Hollywood's golden age, and you compare it to what is nominated and wins today in these Best Picture categories, it's a joke. It's a complete joke. But President Trump dropped the hammer. The Mac Daddy dropped the hammer, and they are shattered. So anything of support we can give President Trump in that as he tries to turn around the culture. Talk about a guy's got a plate full. Does he have too much on it? I mean, talk about broad shoulders. It's incredible. And we're going to have some great EOs here in a minute. We're going to go back. We got Brian Glenn at the White House.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Are you sitting right now? It could be harming your health. Back pain, stress, and serious health risks can build up from sitting too long. But motion changes everything. Introducing Ready Rocker with its patented Rock Perfect design that supports your spine as it helps improve posture, relieve back pain, boost circulation, and release endorphins for your overall well-being, no matter where you are. Lightweight, portable, and covered in memory foam, Ready Rocker instantly transforms any chair or space into a healthier sitting experience.
Sitting too long isn't just uncomfortable, it's unhealthy. With Ready Rocker, we make sitting a healthier experience for people of all ages.
From soothing babies to helping with posture, back pain, and stress, we discovered that rocking can truly improve lives.
Sitting is the new smoking. A sedentary lifestyle, whether you're sitting at a desk or in a vehicle all day, is not good for the body to just stay in that same position. And that's why the Ready Rocker is so effective. The rocking motion constantly keeps you active and helps you ease pain, reduces stress. It actually releases endorphins in the brain. It's a mood booster.
I used to be in pain all the time, but with Ready Rocker, I felt relief and I'm in a better mood. I take it everywhere.
I can literally feel the stress being taken off my joints while rocking.
My back stopped hurting, my arthritis felt better. It's just wonderful.
Now you can join the movement that's changing lives and helping thousands find relief. Call now or go online to get 35% off your purchase
purchase. We'll even ship it for free. Plus, you'll get this bonus seat cushion.
Ready Rocker is changing lives one rock at a time.
Now it's your turn to experience the relief for yourself.
Call 1-800-592-1572 or go to GetReadyRocker.com. That's 1-800-592-1572 or go to GetReadyRocker.com. Call now.
Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, let me reiterate. One of the first things we have to do, I just found out from my ever-cracked staff, who still haven't given me the price. Gold's $29.37? Yeah. Wow. 38. We don't hawk gold here. We put you in touch with Birch Gold, and we learn you up on capital markets and geopolitics, the kinds of things that the world needs a hedge from, the kind of things that central banks start buying gold in bulk, right? When you start talking monetary theory or modern monetary theory. Anyway, go to Birch Gold, you get it all. I think that's why people have had such a great relationship with them. They help you understand it, and you make your own choices. But it has been a store of value throughout mankind's history. Why is that? There's some pattern recognition there. Number one, governments never learn. Never. Go throughout history, and they always say, it's a famous book from the professor at Harvard, this time it's totally different. Untrue. In debasing one's currency. Birchgold.com to go check it out. Or you can pick your phone, dial Bannon 989898. It's a brochure you need to read. Investing in gold in the age of Trump. It'll hit you. It'll hit you right between the eyes. You'll fully understand this. So go check it out, and then talk to Philip Patrick and the team. Mike Lindell. First off, Lindell, CPAC. You're going to be there. He's coming to the. So I'm warning everybody now. Lindell's going to be live at the Real America's Voice studio with War Room. You'll see, because we caused so much noise, folks, and we had a choice. We either tone down the noise and the live participation and be closer to Media Row, which is right outside the main auditorium, because the hotel was going nuts and some of the people were presenting, and it wasn't fair. Our audience is so cranked. Or we can move a little bit and have more of a space down with Megyn Kelly and others that we could go buck wild. And so, of course, we chose the latter. And Lindell will be there. Mike, talk to me about CPAC. Why is it so important this year to attend, and why are you going for all 3 days?
Well, I'm going all 3 days. This is the expansion of our voice, everybody. When they tried to take away our voice on January 7th and 8th of 2021, they tried to take it away forever. 1.2 million people were deplatformed off Vimeo, Zuckerbucks, Facebook, Jack Dorsey's X, all of it. Remember, Parler was deplatformed. The mainstream media was not talking about the election or nothing. Well, CPAC was there for you. They were there for our real president, and they were there for our voices. It gave all of our smaller voices chance to be big voices and get the word out about not just what was going on, everybody, and about the truth, but also to get the word out about and make our platforms bigger. That's why CPAC is so important. And Steve, I got a surprise for everybody at CPAC. I just got okayed today by CPAC. Everyone that comes through that door is going to get a free copy of my book. So we're shipping thousands of them there this week, and I'm going to be there, like I say, not only with you, Steve, with the War Room Posse, but also I'll be speaking from the main stage, and my topic is our voice. That's basically what is so important, everybody. Now we have all these media platforms, and Steve, I want to tell you, you were like the part of the genesis of that never gave up. When they tried to destroy us in January of 21, I always compare it to being on TV, everybody. The old-fashioned TVs, the black and white TVs, you turned it off and went down to a little tiny dot, and we turned it back. It came back to life. That little dot was our voice, and CPAC and your show, and that just expanded it all.
I knew I had. We'll tell the story at CPAC. We'll do it live because I don't know. But I didn't know Mike. I didn't know Mike until after that. You know, he came on. I'll give the story later about what happened when he came on. But
that's right.
I remember seeing the Rose Garden because we watched Trump all the time. Broke down. I saw Rose Garden. I saw this guy stand up and start testifying right there in the Rose Garden. I turn around and I go, is that crazy Mike Pilla guy? And he starts giving testimony, and I go, wow. I said, this is amazing in the Rose Garden live. And Trump can't stop him. He's an unstoppable train. It was one of the greatest moments in the history of the White House.
That story's in the book too. That was quite amazing. There's a lot more to it than that, everybody. It was surreal.
President Trump loved Mike Lindell. Those were some tough years, but we'll go back through the whole history. From Arizona to South Dakota, we had so many times. Mike, people are asking me, I want to get to the special, but I gave you a little more time today because so many people have come to me about the cross, particularly as they're starting to mock, some of the people in the White House are wearing their crosses or crucifixes out publicly. And people are starting to like, oh, they're fake Christians, etc. You're providing this. Talk to me about the crosses and how do people get it?
Yeah, it was one of my most requested product to make over the years. I've been wearing my cross for 20 years, even back when I was in the crack houses. I always wanted to be that person, and I wasn't afraid to show my Christianity. I wasn't afraid to show my faith, and I just put it right out there. And people said, "Hey, Mike, could you come? Will you sell crosses?" And at first, I felt kind of indifferent about it, and I said, "You know what? I'm going to do it." And now you can get the crosses. They're the men and the women's. The women's is interchangeable, so you have the mother of pearl look on the front, and the back it's black right there. So that's interchangeable. And the women's has an adjustable chain on it, the solid sterling silver chains. And you can get, that's one thing you can get with the War Room. This is a War Room exclusive where you can get 30% off, everybody. And it has been a phenomenal response. Everybody, I'm thinking, I didn't know if they would, if people would actually, follow up, because I get requests for products all the time. But this was probably my most requested product, and people have just followed up. And also, everybody, you all have responded to this too. This is the War Room. It's a War Room exclusive 2.0 collection. If you've never tried the 2.0 pillow, now's your chance. And you have a strict limit of 15 with these covers. These are all the patriotic covers, and with God, all things are possible. $9.98 and free shipping. That's as low as you could ever go. And go to the website mypillow.com. Click on it. Go down to your seat, Steve, and click on them. This will all show up here. These are all the War Room specials. Free shipping on your entire order. There you see that cross for 30% off. And you see all the pillows that I have here, the 2.0 pillows. I'm telling you, you'll use it at CPAC. You'll use it everywhere. You'll use it for lumbar support. I'm sitting on them right now. I'm using them for seat padding, back rest. You go to ball games, it doesn't matter. Then you will use this pillow more than any other pillow. $9.98, promo code War Room. And my operators are standing by. They're from the USA, everybody. You get an operator of mine, they're taking the phone call right from your own neighborhood, usually.
Mike, we love you, brother. Mike Lindell, mypillow.com, promo code War Room. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. The Right Stuff takes us out. Second hour, power packed on fire in a minute.
If anyone has told you that gaining weight, feeling tired, and struggling with nagging digestive and joint issues is just a part of getting older, they are wrong. My name is Dr. Stephen Gundry, and after years of struggling with these same issues, I found a new way to support my health at home by making one simple change to my diet. It's called BioComplete 3. BioComplete 3 works by restoring your gut health from the inside out. This is a major part of how I lost 70 pounds and have kept the weight off for 25 years. It's not just me. This is working for everybody. Joe helped his gut health, and you can see the changes, not just how he looks on the outside, but how much better he felt on the inside.
I was 270. I'm now 140. It just feels amazing. Thank you, Dr. Gundry.
I helped all these people achieve incredible changes to their weight, their digestion, even their skin. And for a limited time, you can try BioComplete 3 risk-free for 90 days. Go to guthealthsecret.com.
You asked, and we heard you, America.
Real America's Voice is coming to iHeartMedia.
Yes, Real America's Voice is now breaking through the white noise of the mainstream media.
Just download the iHeart app, and you'll have all of us right at your fingertips.
Scan the QR code and start streaming RAV anywhere you want.
Real America's Voice, available whenever you need us.
It's never been easier to stay connected with the voices you trust.
Grab on iHeart means you can take us with you wherever you go.
This is huge. The Truth on iHeart. Ready whenever you are.
From Charlie Kirk to Steve Bannon, Jack Posobiec to Grant Stinchfield, you'll find